Let me tell you something. And yes, I made this image using AI. But the point is that the world is changing right in front of our eyes. LLMs are here to perform a whole series of tasks that are close to a human level. LLMs are here and now they can perform a whole series of tasks close to human level. Things that used to take a lot of time can now be done in a few moments with outstanding results for all types of applications, like content generation, language translation, code generation, text summarization, question answering, personal assistance, content recommendations, and so on and so forth. And now that you have taken this course, you are ready to develop generative AI applications using the OpenAI API with Python, which brings me to a few interesting points that you should take into account, namely the ethical considerations. First, generative AI models can inherit biases present in their training data, which can result in biased outputs. So you need to make sure that your AI applications are fair and do not discriminate against certain groups or perpetuate harmful stereotypes. Also, privacy is important because AI applications may generate text or content that may reveal sensitive or private information. Be careful of the data that you use to train your models. Also, generative AI can be used to create fake news, deepfakes, and other forms of misinformation. We all need to be very careful and consider the potential for misuse and take steps to mitigate the spread of false information, as well as content moderation. AI generated content can include inappropriate or harmful material. Content moderation techniques are required. Additionally, when AI generates content that includes or resembles real individuals, obtaining consent to use their likeness or identity is crucial to prevent unauthorized use and protect individuals' rights. This applies not only to images, but also to voices and text. And don't forget about intellectual property. AI generated content may raise questions about copyright and intellectual property rights. And this is a touchy one: job displacement. The widespread adoption of generative AI applications may lead to concerns about job displacement, especially in industries where human creativity is a significant component of the workforce. However, this is not the first time that we go through this. This has happened in the Industrial Revolution and other cases in history. Yet, we are still here. Additionally, there is a need to safeguard AI models from malicious use, such as generating malware or conducting cyber attacks. Security measures are essential to prevent unauthorized access to AI systems. Also, there should be an investment in the development of reliable methods for detecting deepfakes and other AI generated content to counter their potential misuse. And it's crucial to establish accountability for AI generated content and provide transparency about the use of AI in content creation to build trust with users. You can't just generate an application that interfaces with OpenAI and let it just say what comes back. You always have to be careful. Also, something to take into account is that training large AI models consumes significant computational resources and has an environmental impact. And you should always adhere to relevant laws and regulations governing AI technologies, data privacy, and content creation. Compliance with legal requirements is essential to avoid legal issues. Furthermore, researchers should conduct ethical research, disclose potential biases, and consider the societal implications of their work when developing AI models, and should also ensure that AI generated content is accessible to all individuals, including those with disabilities, and that does not create barriers to access. Addressing these ethical considerations requires a multidisciplinary approach that involves developers, ethicists, policymakers, companies, and society as a whole. Developing ethical guidelines and best practices for generative AI applications is an ongoing effort to ensure the responsible and beneficial use of these technologies, which, as you noted, I didn't speak just in the context of OpenAI and its API. All what I mentioned applies to generative AI as a whole.